Hi there, in this video I will show you a complete guide to creating amazing faceless videos just like MagnatesMedia or Imperial. We will break down two popular animation styles step by step. First, 2D animation with dynamic elements and 3D details. Second, full 3D animation with realistic environments and visuals. By the end of this video you will have all the tools and knowledge to start making your own amazing videos in this style. So let's dive in. Okay guys, so let's start with first animation. I named that 2D animation with 3D elements. So let's create composition and we can call this main. Let's put that resolution and duration on 10 seconds. Frame rate 25 can be good. Okay, so first thing which we have to do is to create like grain noisy effect on animation. It's very popular for this style. So first you have to find on free pick something like that. It can be a little different, but typically it should be something like that. Okay, so let's put that on our composition. Let's decrease scale like that. Now go to scale plus 19. Okay, decrease size. Okay, it should looks like that. Right now let's add effects. Course effects first, and here graph should looks like that. So it will let's stay only the brightest elements on this image. Okay, it should looks like that. Now go to transform, go to opacity, and here probably like 30. Okay, now let's add movement to this. Go to position, and now press Alt and click on keyframe for position. And now here we can write script for that movement. So let's write posterize time first, set it to 5. Then let's write virgule here and set that to 3 and 1000. Okay, like that. Now you can see that we have our movement, but sometimes the image is out of the screen, so we have to fix that by just adding motion tile effect like that. Probably 300 on 300 like that. And right now you can see that in places when this image is out of the screen, motion tile effect like duplicated that and put that here. So you know, now it looks like it should. Okay, now let's make grid. Let's create new composition and resolution 3000 on 3000 pixels. Okay, now let's create new solid, name it grid, add here grid effect like that, border on 2, and let's make our grids a little smaller. It should be something like that. Okay, perfect. Let's go to our main composition and let's put that grid, our main composition. Let's make this grid 3D. Let's add new camera and we can connect null to this camera. Pick new null object and connect that camera to null object and make this null 3D. Okay, now let's go to our tools, click on orbit around cursor tool and let's press shift and just adjust that like that. Okay, and when we did that, let's go to our null and first adjust this rotation, something like this, and go to position and adjust position. We should go like this. Now go to camera and adjust X rotation like that. Go to null again, adjust this as well. Okay, it should look like that. Now we can add mask to our grid. So click on grid, click on this tool, find ellipse, and now add this ellipse. Our grid, let's put that at the center, make it a little bigger. Now let's go to mask, let's go to mask feather and let's adjust that to 150 like this. Let's put that in the right place, let's make it bigger as well. So yeah, let's adjust everything by yourself. It should look like that. Now let's add red rectangle for the center of this grid. So click on this tool, find rectangle and create rectangle like this. Make it 3D of course. Okay, and let's adjust position to the center of grid. Okay, let's make it bigger like this. Go to rotation and rotate that by 45 like this. Now let's go to opacity and set that to 40 like this. And now let's set color in fill, shape fill color to this type of red. Now let's duplicate that shape layer, and on our duplicated shape layer go to fill, option known, go to stroke and set stroke to 4 like this. Okay, and now when we are done with our rectangle, let's make our furniture. So let's make new solid. On that solid, let's put element 3D effect. If you don't have that plugin, just download that. Now go to scene setup. You should be able to see something like that. Now let's import our 3D object. All assets like objects, like textures, like images you have on the drive in the description. Now let's import this 3D object. Let's open that here. Okay, it's right there. Now let's go here. Let's go to this bevel. Let's go to textures and let's go to diffuse. And let's load here our texture. Let's open that. As you can see, it's right there. Now go to environment and input levels. This mark maximum to the right. So as you can see, our object is a little darker and we have nice shadow behind that. Let's click OK. Okay, as you can see, our object is right there. Now let's go to this element effects, go to group, go to create group null and create here null. Thanks this null, we are able to control this object. So first go to rotation, X rotation 90, like this. Now let's adjust position of this object to the center of rectangle. Let's make it bigger, probably to like 250. Then let's adjust position. We can make it even bigger, like this. Adjust position after changing scale. Okay, it should look like this. Now let's add effect to this solid. It will be tint effect. Okay, let's leave that with these settings. Now let's make our text. First will be disguised text, so create new text and write disguised. Okay, like this, and use monster rat bold font. Let's make this 3D and let's put this layer below furniture layer. Now let's go to rotation, X rotation 90 and adjust position to somewhere like there. Okay, perfect. Now let's make our last two objects. It will be rotated rectangle here with line which is going from this rectangle to text which will be right there. So first let's make rotated rectangle to here, to tool rectangle and stroke on 2. Let's make this in this size. Now let's go to pen tool and let's make a line which is going from this rectangle like that. Now let's make this 3D. Let's go to rotation, X rotation on 90 and this rotation on minus 45. Okay, let's adjust position, something like this. Let's adjust this line. Okay, it should look like this. Okay, right now let's make our last text, new text and of course furniture. Okay, make it of course 3D. Now go to rotation, X rotation 90. Let's make it smaller, of course, even smaller, and let's adjust position to this. And with that we are done with our design. Now let's add animation to that design and then our final touches. So let's start with animation. We will start from animation for grid, of course. We will simply add here opacity, animation. First go to opacity, first keyframe at the start, next like on the half of second, click here, go to first keyframe and put it here 0, like that. Now let's go to shape layer, go to opacity as well, and now first keyframes at the start, second keyframes in same place in timeline as second keyframe for grid. Let's create and of course at start let's put 0, exactly like this. Now let's animate stroke on our rectangle, so this first shape layer, and now let's go here, let's go to add, let's add trim path, and yeah, let's add that first keyframe on 0, of course, then go to like 1 second and put here 100 and make graph should look like this. Okay, perfect. Now let's animate this big text. So let's go there and let's add here something like text evo. It's script. You can download it easily. You can find that on the internet. So let's open TextEvo. Let's click on that plus. Okay, as you can see, we have our keyframes. Now let's move that somewhere there. Okay, and now let's go to this TextEvo script right there. Go to transform, go to position, and let's put here like minus 300 like this. Now go to opacity, put here 0. Okay, now go to these keyframes, go to graph for these keyframes, and let's make this a little sharper. Okay, it should looks like that. Perfect. Now let's add our furniture. To do that, let's go to our group NUR first. Okay, and this animation should start somewhere where our animation for text is ending. So like here. First go to position, make first keyframe like here, and second like there probably. Let's go to first keyframe and let's move this furniture somewhere there probably. Now let's make graph here. Let's go to speed graph, and our speed graph should looks like that. Okay, exactly like that. Okay, as you can see, it's smooth. Now let's go to this solid and let's add opacity animation here. We can't do it on our group null because with that null we are able to control only our position, not opacity of our 3D object. Okay, so go to opacity, first keyframe like here, second like there. Go to first keyframe, put this to 0, and as you can see, it's smooth. Now let's animate this and this. First, let's animate this shape. Okay, so our animation of this should start like here. First, let's make scale animation. Let's click on our shape, and if you have motion tool, it's really easy. Just click here and we will have another point in the place where we want to be. I'll go to scale, first keyframe like there, second keyframe like there. Go to first keyframe, put here 0. Go to graph and let's make graph. Let's go to value graph and let's make graph like this. As you can see, it's smooth. Now let's make trim path for this line. Okay, let's go to trim path, go to end. Let's make first keyframe. Put this right there. Then this right here. First key, go to first keyframe and put here 0. Okay, let's make graph like this. Perfect. Now let's go to animation, our furniture text. So again, let's add TextEvo effect, click plus here. Let's start this animation like here. And right now, let's do exactly same animation. So go to X minus 300, put opacity 0, and let's make this graph a little sharper. Let's put that animation like this. Okay, perfect. Right now we are done with our animation. You can see how it looks like. Okay, perfect. Now let's go to our final touches. First, I want to add deep glow on our rectangle. So let's add here deep glow. It should be like on 0.15. Like this. Now let's copy that. Let's add the same deep glow on second rectangle. Now let's add a little glow on our texts. So go to furniture text. Let's add here deep glow effect, but put that on 0.01. Let's add same deep glow on our second text, and let's put the same deep glow on our furniture as well, like this. Now let's add some effects on adjustment layers. First, let's make adjustment layer, and first put here posterize time on 16. Then we are going to add new adjustment layer, and on our second adjustment layer, transform effect. First keyframe at start, second at the end, and at the end let's make this 130. So we will get, thanks that, smooth scale animation for entire length of this. Now let's add our last effect. It will be flicker. So let's create new adjustment layer and add here flicker from Shafir. Now go to this flicker, go to frequency, go to 100 here. Now let's go to amplitude, first keyframe at start, second somewhere there. Now let's cut this adjustment layer once in the place in timeline when we have second keyframe. On the second keyframe let's put here 0.3. On first keyframe let's put here 1.5. Okay, and we should be done with our animation right now. Let's see how it looks. Okay, and as you can see, it looks perfect right now. Our animation is 100% done. So yeah, it's all for this animation. It's done right now. Okay, so now when we are done with our first animation, let's make second one. So full 3D animation with complex 3D environment. Let's create composition. Let's name that main. This resolution, duration on 10 seconds will be fine. Okay. And now making solid. Add here element 3D effect. Now go to scene setup here. Okay. We should get something like this. Again, first what we have to do is to create new plane. Now let's go to this plane and make it a lot of bigger, maybe to 300 scale, like this. Now let's place here our houses. So to do it, we have to import that. Of course, everything is in the description. Let's import, let's open. Okay, now go to this home and click to normalize size. Now you can see our home here. Let's put it on the ground like this. Let's move that there, something like that. Now let's add texture to our house. So go to this bevel, go to diffuse and let's load texture. Let's open that. Okay, now we have our home ready. Now let's copy that. Let's move second like there. Okay, and let's go to orientation and put 0 here. Okay, perfect. Now let's add our characters somewhere there. First we will add blue ones, so like praying man's. So let's import them. Let's open. Okay, let's go here. Normalize size. Now we got him. Of course, it's too big, so make it smaller to the natural size of human. Put it on the ground, of course. And let's move that to the right place. It should be somewhere there. Make it a little bigger. Something like that. Let's adjust position. Okay, now let's adjust orientation. And now let's add material preset here. You have this in the description as well, so let's double click here. And as you can see, we got this insane glass effect here. Just we have to go to first bevel and go to reflectivity and adjust this color to something like this. This reflection to this blue. This like to bright. Okay, exactly like this. Now let's duplicate him, put his friend somewhere there, and go to orientation and let's adjust that too. Okay, exactly like that. Now let's add a soldier with gun in front of them. Let's import him. Let's open. Okay. Okay, we got him, put him on the ground. Let's adjust everything. Orientation, scale, position. Okay, exactly like that. Now let's go to him and let's add the same material preset to him. Now open and let's make this like red. Okay, even brighter. Exactly like that. And now let's add the last objects. So our trees, like there. So let's import them. Let's open that, click OK. Now normalize size. Okay, we got our trees. Let's adjust position and scale. Orientation also. Okay, perfect. Now let's add the textures here. First go to bark, go to textures, diffuse. Let's load texture for bark. Okay, and leave that like this. Go to our reliefs and load texture for reliefs. Okay, exactly like that. And now you can see that we have our texture here, but something is wrong here. As you can see, to fix that, let's go to our advanced settings and go to alpha threshold and put this to 1. Okay, perfect. Now let's go to basic settings and glossiness 0. Okay, and we are done with our design inside Element 3D. everything is ready here to animate and final touches. So click OK, and now let's create new camera, add null to this camera, and now let's adjust position like this. And we shouldn't be able to see this dark background there. So let's adjust rotation everywhere as well. You know, just play with everything. Adjust everything as I'm doing it right now. Okay, perfect. Now let's animate this. So to make everything cleaner, let's add another null here. Go to position and first keyframe at start, second in around for second mark. And let's make here clean movement. So at start, position should be a little different. Okay, something like that. Position on our first keyframe should be a little different. So we'll have clean and slow movement here. Can even change this position more, so we'll have more movement. Okay, like that. Now let's add another null to our second null. So let's create first position keyframe right here. After one frame, second one. Okay, exactly like this. Now let's adjust this position. Okay, now go to rotation. Let's adjust orientation and rotation as well. Let's make keyframe for rotation and X rotation because we will need that. Okay, let's make another keyframe here and let's change the positions on these keyframes. First this orientation, middle orientation, and X rotation as well, like this. Okay, perfect. Let's adjust position as well. Let's adjust X rotation. Okay, adjust everything to get looks like this. Now let's go to around 8-second mark and let's adjust position a little here as well. So we'll get again like smooth but slow movement like this. Let's check that. Okay, perfect. We could change X rotation a little more as well. Let's adjust position because this changed as well. Okay, now it's perfect. Okay, so now we are done with our animation and design. Let's go to final touches, which will add a lot to this composition. So let's create first adjustment layer and add here CC Ignite effect. Okay, let's put here 200, something like this. Okay, perfect. Now let's create another adjustment layer and put here effect called Lux from Maxon. Click edit. Okay, we will get something like this. Now go to edge softness and add edge softness to something like this. Click here. Okay, perfect. Now create another adjustment layer and add here looks again. Go to edit. And now let's go to this dashboard and let's find something called colorista. Let's add that here. Let's go to settings and let's set this to more blue. So highlights to blue. Okay, like this. Shadows to this type of blue. Okay, this to something like this. Okay, like that. Click here. Okay, we should get something like this. Now let's back again to element. Okay, and let's change our environment here. Of course, you will get that in the description as well. So click here and we'll go with roof blurred. So open. Okay, we should get something like this. Now go to input levels and here we have this mark and let's move it to the left somewhere like there. Okay, click OK. It should look like this. Okay, here. As you can see right now, our characters have a lot of more glass effect on them. Now let's add final thing, so our shadows. Okay, so go to our element, go to render settings, and now we have to open lighting and shadows. First in lighting, we don't have to change anything, but in shadows we have to enable this option, of course. Okay, map size to the highest. Now let's click new and light. Let's create spotlight like this. Let's check if our get shadows option is enabled. Click OK. And now let's adjust position of this light. Okay, exactly like this. Okay, now it looks perfect. Let's back to our render settings and to shadow. Shadow samples to like 20. Now go to spotlight and shadow depth to like 400. Okay, so as you can see, quality of our shadow is better now. Okay, and last thing will be to decrease darkness of this shadow, because the shadow is a little too dark. So go to spotlight and go to light options, I think. Yeah, and here we have something like shadow darkness, and let's decrease that, something like this, and right now our animation is done. So as you can see, it wasn't so hard. Let's see how it looks like. Okay, as you can see, it looks perfect. Movements are slow but very clean. Design is on point as well. So yeah, we are done with this one as well. So it's going to be end of this video. I created for you two types of animation that you will have to know how to make to execute this MagnatesMedia or Imperial style. And I really believe that after this video, with this knowledge which I gave you right now, you will be able to make some videos. Of course, if you are beginner editor, it will be not so good, but you know, just try, learn, and you will become very great editor. I really believe in that. So yeah, it's going to be end of this video. Bye.